Hello. First of all, I would like to thank this wonderful and amazing platform, Autism Connect, which is helping millions of children on autism spectrum across the world and helping them improve their lives. Let me start a little bit for those who are watching me for the first time about myself as to what is my relationship with the autism world. Somewhere around 20 years back, I sort of got inducted in the autism community, so to say, when my child was diagnosed. My firstborn was diagnosed with autism. We live in India, Delhi, and at that time I had just a faint knowledge about the word autism. I had seen, of course, The Rain Man and Mercury Rising, few movies as a social reference, but way back, that time autism was a very fairly new knowledge in India, and we did not have any kind of a reference, so to speak, as to like I was told that your son will require lifelong support in his day-to-day life for his basic decision makings and all. So whenever I used to meet maybe the OT or the speech therapist or the special educators, I used to ask what will happen, what all will he able to achieve as milestones, say when he is 5 or when he's 10 or when he's 15 or when he's 20. We simply as parents did not know what to expect, what to hope for. I mean, we were standing at ground zero, absolutely. A lot has changed, but a lot has not changed also. And a lot of learnings have been there for me as a mother, as a parent. First thing, like today we are talking about, building community support for autism or children or adults or anyone living on the spectrum. Why are we talking specifically about that? Probably, when I started, since even the doctors did not know, so obviously the schools had no provision at that time. Inclusion was not even a word heard at that time. We over the time developed new vocabulary, special need, inclusion, neurodiversity. These are the words, the vocabulary which started rolling in our mouths when we started realizing as parents community that not only our child, but even we are marginalized because we have no equity. We don't even belong to a voter bank. Nobody is paying attention to us, at least in our part of the world. That set me off to a track, I would say, that I realized very early that not only do I need to equip myself with the knowledge, but also need to create a support system. Because you will, today, the knowledge is in abundance. There is no dearth of knowledge. You Google anything, you will get 10 different websites to talk about any kind of thing under the sun, or maybe even beyond this, our sun. But knowledge is different and wisdom is different. What do we do with that knowledge is something which we need to focus on. And that can come only, experientially. When you have lived a certain experiences, when you have gone through those challenges, dealt with them, only then you get a fair sense of and develop some kind of a wisdom or a know-how to move forward. So community to me means coming together in unity. That makes sense to me, what community means. But when we started, no school was taking our child. They did not know what autism was. So we had to talk to teachers, talk to the schools. First of all, I started trying to get to know fellow parents in or around the area where we used to live, through the professionals, the special educators, and I must say they have been a great source of motivation in our darkest moment, and to understand and fathom, this entire challenge called autism spectrum. So slowly, brick by brick, I started understanding and started gathering people and started talking to them on my own. So inclusion is definitely was one of the challenges. Lack of knowledge was the biggest challenge at that point of time, because even my pediatrician did not know. I had to actually somehow educate him by getting information from here, but he's saying that these milestones are delayed, whereas he said, oh, the boys they learn, the first boy, or probably they're laid back, there's a delayed milestone, they speak late, they walk late, it's okay, we kept waiting. So those gaps actually delays in the learnings of the child and adaptability. So those gaps were there, which I became aware of, that okay, so is there a one point, let's say a walk through somebody, is there an entity which can walk us through, say from A to Z of this entire journey? So there was none. It was all fragmented knowledge. So that was one of the challenges. Then disability per se is stigmatized across the world, but in the developing countries such as ours, with huge diversity and unique challenges of our own, sort of multiplied our own plights, and we had to fight for just about everything, as basic as education, walking to a mall, or going in a public place, going to a family wedding, which stopped ever since we came to know about the challenges, the hyperactivity in the early stages, lack of communication, so much of meltdowns, then in the teenage, the aggression, all these issues, then impacted me, my health, and I had to leave my job. And I was I'd been working before that from the past. I was financially independent ever since I knew, but I had to leave my job. So I had to undergo my own, curve and insecurities, that suddenly now, from being an absolute financially independent person, now I was dependent on one person for my finances, and also not to mention the fact that having a special need child was like raising two children, because of the expenses involved. So the combination of it all actually takes a huge toll on the families. So now a lot of things have gone, a lot of things have been achieved in our journey. I ended up today I am a founder of a NGO called A.L.A.P, Assisted Living for Autistic Persons, because when my child grew up, I started asking a question, that if he is going to require lifelong maintenance or looking after, then what will happen to him when I am not there, when my husband is also not there, when both set of parents are not there? There are many families who have single child, or there who have two children with special needs. So it all seems very daunting and bleak. So building community support is very crucial, apart from understanding what therapy would work, what kind of education or vocational plan will work, because without the support system, it really tumbles down to again bring you back to, sort of on a very, very low vibrational mode, So like I will give you example, many of the fathers, I know personally at least six of my friends and or close associates or people that I know, and every other day I get stories from smaller towns of India that where the fathers have left because of the pressures, because of the social thing, that it is easier for them to get away with their mothers or the family saying, oh, you get married, you will get many other options, leave this, and they are not even supporting the wife and the child, and the mother is alone struggling to look after not only herself but also the special need child. And a mother recently approached me that the child tried to almost strangle her, when she was alone with him. But what would have gone in the emotional mental makeup of the child as well as the mother, as to they had reached to that point where they were trying to be aggressive and causing harm to each other. So that is the level of challenges that we are facing. I came across a family who are living in China. They have 2 daughters and they have 1 son. And although the child is born in China, but because of their state policy, they cannot take or they won't take a child with foreign origin in their assisted living. Now the parent is settled there from the past 20 years. His entire business is there. Now he's forced to think to move back from his comfort zone, moving his business, or he has just one option, either to wind up everything and come and start everything from the scratch, coming back to India, or splitting the family, like wife being here and the husband being there. So, that is another kind of a problem. Then the pandemic has really sort of forced us, especially those of our community or the parents who were sort of somehow in kind of slumber, that something will happen, and or maybe has forced us out to actually realize that we are not immortal, that we will have to leave this world, and if we don't do anything today, then we came across very heart-wrenching stories of children being left, and both set of parents had succumbed to this horrible pandemic, and the relatives, even the well-meaning relatives, even if they wanted to do, they had no clue as to what to do, where to begin, which authority to go, whom to appeal, because no one had prepared them for anything, So, and then I'm talking about the families, then I'm talking about a parent, a very bold parents who actually thought of, okay, since we have not got the support, let us create the support system. And she started running a residential setup. But in the past 4 years, she has not taken a single leave, because the other parents expect her to be there 24/7, 365 days. And she has her own medical challenges. And even the person in best of the health would develop such kind of medical challenges if they have to work in such extreme pressures. So we need to understand what are the gaps before we talk about any kind of solutions. So these are the basic challenges, and of course in our part of the world we do not have social securities, those kind of social securities only for people living on a very, very marginalized economical backgrounds. but middle classes are by and large left to fend for themselves, and there are many layers of middle classes. They are lower income middle classes, then they are very high level, then there are middle level, then there are within the spectrum of the middle class, there are single parents, single earning family members who would have no pensions, once they retire. Like if I take my own example, we are living in a single earning family, and we do not have any kind of we don't see any kind of a pension coming to us from the government or from any other entity. We have to not only think about our child who's going to be lifelong dependent on us, even when we are gone, let's say for another 30 years to 40 years, we have to do the planning. Not only that, we have to think about our own retirement plan. So, we do not have the luxury of thinking or visualizing our life in retirement, for we will have to, I think, die in our working boots. So that is the hard reality of our autism community. And the biggest challenge is that in our community we have very tiny numbers of self-advocates, because communication is one of the biggest challenges of autism. Most of the autistic children or persons are non-verbal. So, and in a diverse country with huge challenges, we, even within the disability community, we get pushed to the last in the queue for anything. So more the reason that we as parents become the advocates and represent as a collective for our children. But let's look at the society right now in its current. We have been brought up, thinking that about that tortoise and rabbit stories, but slow and steady wins the race, trying to glorify somehow or trying to include diversity. But I say that let's throw this entire notion that life is a race and shift it to maybe life is a tango, it takes two to tango, or maybe life is not a race, it's a symphony, where a lot of people come together to create a beautiful music together. Because I think in this life, the slow and steady can also win the race, and fast and furious can also reach a destination. We don't need to have this or that kind of a narrative. It's a very polarized vision of looking, at our lives across the world, in all kind of spheres of our lives. We have been told that, it's good to be competitive. No, I don't think so. I think and I think somehow competition brings a mean spirit in us. It's high time that, and human beings are meant to live together in harmony. Why are we selling the idea is that life is tough, life has to be complicated, and that, strong versus weak, white versus black, left versus right. We have been for ages now being sold these extreme polarized view that you have to choose this or that. Neurodiverse versus mainstream versus special need. There is no thing. We are all in this cauldron together. So, but that, if we want as a community the support, then we have to start as a community. When I say we meaning us, the parents, all the stakeholders of autism community. We have to start from us. Because as a homogenized society, we think that we demand rights, right to be included here, right to be included there. But are we ourselves inclusive? Have you come across men who have left their wives because they were not able to emotionally cope up? Have you ever told them that, look, dude, you are doing wrong? Have you ever gone and supported a family of a single mother and, gone and fought with her that as a relative? Or if you are if you are a mother-in-law, have you been absolutely just critical about, just your daughter-in-law, that it must be her fault to have, a progeny with defect? So as a community, we need to think and look into these aspects and see what are the things that we can do to change. So to reach out, we need to go within first of all. So if we take the story of that single mother's plight of fighting for not only her rights as a wife and maintenance, but fighting for the rights of getting maintenance for her child with special need. And there are thousands and thousands of such stories in our part of the world. I think in India, even in Pakistan, Bangladesh, in a very severe patriarchal society, having a person or child with special need is like, a last straw with already so many social challenges that a woman faces. So we need to support them. Then we need to come forward to a person like that lady I've just given an example, that, a lot of assisted living models are coming up because of this What After Us. And I have been talking on this issue specifically from the past, I think now almost 7 years. And I'm very happy to state that in India, it's a very, very bright situation where different kind of models are coming up, small models, sort of a boutique kind of a group home kind of a model. That is what A.L.A.P is. We have set up a model within the mainstream in an apartment. Our kids are going, my son included, are living there, learning to live independently, have the choice and the options to grow as much as possible. They go to an office, they go to see a movie, they are seen. So when I say that as a community, we only also have to work a lot, because till the time we don't come together, nobody will see us. We are unseen. So we have to be seen. And let's not get bothered about getting endorsed by the so-called mainstream. We are mainstream. We have been born on this planet, so we are already mainstream. We have to, start going beyond our own labels. And because we are struggling with our labels, we fight as mothers. Don't call my son, how dare you call him, special need or neurodiverse and this or that. Our child, our children are human being first. There are some total of more than just the label given to them. So if you have just come to know that you have a child with special needs, these are the gradual steps you can take to either develop or bring a community support for yourself and your family, but also, or you become a part of the community. First is to get to know more about this autism spectrum, because by and large, the cosmopolitan cities of our country has become aware of what autism is, what are the challenges. But if you start percolating this thing and actually see it has not gone beneath the superficial surfaces. It still needs to percolate to right down to the grassroots level. So we need to keep talking about it in many languages, not only in English, because the urban classes think in English. Because I remember this thing, one guy called me on All India Radio, and asked me, ma'am, is this autism affected by color blue? Because that was his perception about, because, you know, on World Autism Day, we say painted blue and this and that. So that comprehension was just not there. So that made me think. It was a rude awakening for me that, you know, we have a long way to go. So if you think that we have done enough on the awareness part, then think again. Wherever you are, in whatever capacity you are, even if in a small town listening to me, please start talking about your child, the label, what all it does, to your immediate neighbors, involved neighborhood, talk to them, reach out, collaborate with your NGOs where your child goes or in the school. Keep talking, keep demanding, and not only demanding, because I used to go to the schools and say, look, this is what my child's challenges are. Would you like me to speak to the teachers, to the students? I started knocking on the doors myself. I distributed 100, I used to live in an apartment where there were 100 families. I made a pamphlet on my child, and along with this photo, and I sent it to every apartment. And in one show, at least I made those 100 families aware that, okay, this is one family and they have a special need child. And I got a very amazing response. Most of the time what we feel is, nobody will understand us. But let me tell you, ignorance is the biggest disability. Until the time we did not have our children in our lives, how much were we talking about it? How many kids with special need did we look into, or did we reach out to? So if you want, the amazing thing is that I think this entire universe must have been created first in the thought. So we are not living in world, We create our own world in our spheres by our thoughts, and it sort of reflects around us. So in a way, we are one. It's a beautiful dichotomy because we are part of one solid consciousness. At the same time, we have the ability and capacity to create our own world. So if you try to fathom and dwell on it, you can actually, that power lies with you. It is intimidating, at the same time it's empowering also. Because, and I'm saying all this is not book knowledge. It is all experiential. I stopped being apologetic about my son and his disability, about him flapping his fingers, looking strange, and taking out strange voices. I used to be totally nonchalant when in public, when people used to look at him and all that. I stopped reacting to their reactions. If people were receptive, I used to simply go and give them information in a matter of fact tone, without shaming them. So, that is very important, because when you shame them or try to put them down, people shut down. So, if you want people to reach out to you, then you have to reach out to them. That is the first step of building community support for yourself. Then create an awareness in your neighborhood. And if you are not able to do, if you're shy, if you're an introvert person, then reach out to a fellow parent, maybe somebody senior, maybe somebody who can be recommended. You can reach out to your therapist or to the school or to the local, the doctor who's seeing you, to connect you to a fellow parent. So you will know, do not under any circumstance isolate yourself and think that this is, a challenge only for you and you. The more you reach out, trust me, the people will try to help. People, even the God helps those who are willing to help themselves and then willing to help others. These are very basic things, This is nothing rocket science, but in our day-to-day struggle, we get so much entangled in our own miseries that we forget to see the larger picture as to where we stand, We don't even realize our own higher self that we are capable of. Today, when I started, I did not know that. I started writing, I started reaching out, started articulating, started creating events, poetry, and I never thought, I had never written a single word in my life till my age of 40. So when we are talking about building capacities, it's a two-way process. You know, many of us parents think and wonder, what is the purpose of these lives? They are totally dependent. I think they are making us better impacts. When we are becoming better impacts, we are reaching out to others in society. We are making and helping create ripple effects. And I know many lovely human beings who have nothing to do with autism, neither they are parents or professional, but they are still coming forward to understand us, and not only understand us, but to reach out and represent our communities. I think that's a huge compliment, and we should pat ourselves when we see such beautiful dots connecting together. So I think then, now that these assisted living models are coming up, there is another challenge which is coming up of a fear of all these communities which are running, the people who are running these communities, of parents just simply dumping their children. So that cannot be acceptable by any means. We have to extend our empathy and support and undying support to those people who are trying to create the support system for our children. For only then a good quality life will be created, communities will be created. There are so many different communities coming up across the country. People are tying up with senior citizens community. People are tying up with builders to come as parents together. There's a model coming up in Chennai. There is already a beautiful model in Hyderabad. It's being replicated in East and even the western part of our country. So I think the kindness has to become infectious, and kindness has to become a cool word. It's cool to be kind. And in today's very, very harsh world, and I would say a very overwhelming scenario, what with huge problems, huge world like global warming, and we can see the war happening in the West, all kind of apocalyptic kind of scenario. We have become very fear based. Our consciousness is very fear based. We need to shift that. If four of us can sit together and share the responsibility, the life can be really, I'm not saying that life is easy for anyone. Life is but need not be complicated. It may be complex, yes, but it need not be complicated. And I'm telling you, trust me, because today A.L.A.P is supporting 8 families. It's a very small numbers. We don't boast of reaching out to huge, but I'm saying, if I talked about that single mother sitting in a small city in northern India, where she has no support, if suppose she gets a support of A.L.A.P kind of a model in her place, where her child is well nurtured, given an opportunity, and she too can go and share her stories and just go and de-stress, it's a huge thing. So that's how we can build communities. And when we come together as communities, today not only these assisted living models are coming up, but I am making an effort to bring these assisted living models also to a common a platform to share our own knowledges and experiences, and we are all helping each other. So I think what I see is a very bright future. But yes, of course there are challenges, but the beauty of the thing is that the answer is right, under our noses. we don't have to just keep depending on the governments, because governments keep coming and there is always a deficit across the world. Nobody is a common citizen has never said that we are happy with our government, least of all our community, especially the autism community. We are the most marginalized community. But what I'm seeing is the mothers coming, the amazing different platforms in different cities, the parents group coming together, sharing stories, going out, creating inclusive beaches in India, creating inclusive spaces. The best thing is that we are seen and heard. Earlier, 10 years back, if I had to explain in a public place, now I see even a festival coming out with a poster that they have a special night for neurodiverse children. I think that's a huge, the credit goes to our collective effort as the community. So we have to keep at it, and I think within the mainstream we can create our own niche areas and be happy in it, and think about new ideas for sustainability, for reaching out to each other, for creating new support systems, and keep talking about awareness. I think this is what I have to see. This is how the communities are built, and we should not think about that, oh, we are here to change the world, because everybody has their own realities, everybody has their own world. Because if it was just one world, then everybody would have the same experiences. When I say that there are many worlds within this world, is we as community, as autism community, we have our own world, we have our own challenges. So let us focus on that. Forget what is happening around in terms of politics, in terms of pollutions. If we can focus on immediate challenge and keep working at it, there is beautiful comfort in that. And if we can connect the communities to other communities, then we become a force to reckon with. Then we can make the governments also to sit up and take notice, because then we, the representative or our voiceless population, actually become a solid vote bank, and the governments will always sit up and take the notice. In autism, in A.L.A.P, we say it takes a village to raise a child. We at A.L.A.P are raising that village to look after that one child, and many such children. So I think with that note I will end. And people, if they are listening across the countries, I think even in the most developed countries, the challenges of the communities coming together, the human touch, opening up of the heart, that is required, and no professionals can teach us that. This is only, we have to invoke our own human side and reach out to each other. With that, I will sign off. Goodbye and love to all. Thank you.